Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of the PHNX Suns Podcast. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday, but because we forgot yesterday was Tuesday, we got a Trade Machine Wednesday.
Trade Machine Wednesday. Trade Machine Wednesday.
Can we make that the new song
No.
that plays every single day?
Absolutely not.
Trade Machine Wednesday.
There we go.
Trade Machine Wednesday.
It
That's
gets
the
worse.
winner right there. Is it, Gerald? Is it?
It gets worse, yes.
I don't know. But before we get into that, we do have a few updates on the coaching front.
I'm feeling good, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you expect me to ask you how you were feeling
You
today?
usually do.
Today, I just don't care.
Oh,
Damn.
okay.
So I figured we'd go right into
Well,
it.
I'm feeling good, like I should.
I kid. How are you
was,
doing, gentlemen?
Good.
Feeling
I'm here,
blessed. Never stressed.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
I got you.
I just took a walk around the neighborhood.
Stuff, y'all. Riveting.
You
Happy
didn't
for
get
you.
it, though, did you?
No, I don't get it.
Gerald and I were singing Sunday Best. Feeling good.
Oh,
like I
okay.
should.
Gotcha. Mhm.
All right.
I got
Well-
the reference.
Oh, is my microphone off?
It didn't adjust for that. It's like,
Oh,
I fixed it really fast.
okay.
There's the patient.
So welcome into the PHNX Suns Podcast. It's Trade Machine Wednesday, but first, let's talk about some coaching updates. First and foremost, we did hear from ESPN's Tim McMahon today on Arizona Sports. He said that after Monty was fired, he was told to take Kevin Young seriously as a head coaching candidate for the Suns. He said, quote, "As somebody in the loop told me, the big name would be nice, but the quote was, you never know when you can hire another Spoelstra." Do you guys think that Kevin Young has the potential to maybe be
I have no
another
idea.
Eric Spoelstra?
I have no idea. I mean, I think we all have the potential to be something.
What that is, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
At what age do you no longer have the potential and you've just passed it? I'm just asking for a friend.
I don't know why you're looking at me when you say that.
Because we're the old people here.
I mean, is 43 old?
Oh, well, in the sports world, yes.
Is it?
As an athlete,
LeBron's
yes.
like 40.
As a coach, no.
And he's thinking about retiring. So,
I mean, still got a triple-double.
I don't know. But that's the latest on what we've heard around the NBA
And
about
Kevin Young is 41.
Yeah, he's 41. I don't know. Like, Eric Spoelstra's a pretty high bar to
Yeah.
reach.
It
Like,
is.
he's a multi-championship winner. He's regarded as quite possibly the best coach in the NBA. So I don't want to set our expectations a little
Yeah.
too high for a first-year head coach if he winds up getting the job. But that is the mindset. That's the goal, to hire an assistant who becomes a Nick Nurse, who becomes an Eric Spoelstra. And I think a lot of teams are realizing these assistants that pick up experience under a number of different head coaches, or, you know, like Spoelstra, who worked his way up from video coordinator to where he is now. These people that are knowledgeable about the game, they can make really great head coaches. So I think we're seeing that more and more often.
so I sat here yesterday and talked about, could he be their Nick Nurse? Could he be their Ty Lue? But there's an example right here in our own backyard that happened with the Suns team in '92. Paul Westphal was the lead assistant, got handed, the job when Cotton Fitzsimmons stepped down, had a loaded roster with Barkley and Marley and KJ in the group, and took them to the finals in year one. Like, there's all sorts of examples of guys going from that lead assistant spot to having success. Now, I don't know that he's going to be the next Spoelstra. I don't know that he's going to be here. If Kevin Young gets the job, that he's going to be here for 15 years and lead us into this unbelievable period of Suns basketball. But I definitely think there's a better than average chance that he could come in and have success with these guys, because they obviously respect him. There's a lot of talk about how great he is with X's and O's. And being able to do that, and he had success in the G League when he coached. So I'm not going to say he's Spoelstra, but I think the automatically disqualifying him because he's never had head coaching experience seems pretty myopic thinking to me. Like, Doc Rivers has lots of coaching experience. I don't think he's going to fix anything. Frank Vogel, to me, is an NBA 2K create coach. Like, he's just the generic guy that goes in, does well enough, and happen to be in the right situation at the right time. Like, there's nobody out there that I go, you have to hire that guy. It's not like you're going Steve Kerr or Kevin Young right now. Like, that's just not the reality of it.
But even Steve Kerr, like,
well, yeah, when he started. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my resolutions mid-year resolution, let's go, is I feel like I've gotten to the point now where I'm just gonna stop comparing things to other things. Like, we always compare LeBron to MJ and stuff like that. Like, and with head coaches, there's just not much of a comparison from a rookie or a would-be rookie head coach to what already exists, because you don't know what they would do in that seat. And sure, they might have done it at the high school or college or G League level. It's still different once you get to the NBA, because you were literally talking about the best of the best playing at such a high level, and you never know how coaches are going to react in certain moments, how they're going to respond to veterans who are pushing back. Kevin Young is 41, Chris Paul is 38. If those two butt heads, who wins out? Who's got the bigger voice? Like, we don't know any of that stuff. So to me, these guys that are doing, the people that are doing the interviews, not just guys, because I know there's women involved. The people that are doing the interviews, they've got that. Those are the ones that you have to trust in order to find the very best candidate. And listen, there was no Sean McVay until there was a Sean McVay, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and then everybody wanted a Sean McVay. That's why the Cardinals screwed up and got Cliff Kingsbury. Like, you want to make sure that the people who are making the decisions are not just trying to replicate something else that existed before, but are trying to find what fits their team the best. And I think that's where a lot of organizations screw up, like Detroit's about to. And so we just got to be careful with that.
Well, when it comes to the younger coaches and trying to find that next whatever you may think or want to say, you can't win if you don't play, right? It's kind of how it goes. Like, you know what you're going to get with a Frank Vogel for the most part. You know what you're going to get with the Doc Rivers for the most part. Kevin Young is the wild card here, but also could potentially have the highest ceiling as well, because would be a first-time opportunity for him. And I think at this point, I'm of the mindset of, like, take the risk. If that's who our pool has come down to, and it's no shade to Doc Rivers or Frank Vogel, but if that's what the pool of head coaches has come down to, take the gamble. Yeah. Give Kevin Young a shot and see what he could potentially become. I'm
right there with you. Like, what? Sure, you can. I'd rather fail taking the big swing than fail
taking the safe route.
Frank Vogel or Doc Rivers, right? Mm-hmm. I'd much rather take the chance. It's like, I always think, if I'm ever going to be on a game show, right, and it comes down to, do you want to risk everything you earn for the bigger prize or play it safe? I'm always going to go big, because I came in with nothing, and if I leave with nothing, I didn't whatever, right? Like, but I could leave with something, significant. I feel like that's where the Suns are right now. You've flamed out twice in a row in the playoffs. You can take this big swing, and maybe you wind up at the top of the mountain, and maybe he's so good that you'll wind up there for years to come.
Right. And it's not like he's a fallback option just because he was here before. Like, he's interviewed around the league, and as Hello said in the chat, if we don't hire Kevin Young and another team gets him, we're going to be KY jelly.
Only if he succeeds.
Listen,
that was Hellos. Don't look at me.
First of all, I saw the KY comment from somebody else, and I was like, you know what we're not going to do?
We're not going to
call Kevin Young KY.
No,
look, I mean,
we're not calling him jelly. We're not doing that. Belongs to Keith Yandel. Leave it where it belongs. That is a Coyotes thing.
That's very slippery slope. Okay.
Well, look, if the other team doesn't use KY right, it's going to be rough. I mean,
there we go. I got you. Hello.
Hey now.
This is going to be such a long off season.
Well, with that attitude,
you'll make it go smoother.
No. Stop.
I hate you all.
Good times.
Okay, but my question is, I know you do your due diligence, right? Obviously, if Kevin Young ends up being your guy, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done their due diligence as far as reaching out to all the coaches and interviewing all the coaches they have talked to. But what is taking so long at this point?
I think they're just taking their time. Well, I
But
mean,
like,
honestly,
how much time do you need is my question. Like, it's you know who these guys are. In theory, you should have at least spoken to them on multiple occasions at this point. How much time do you actually need?
I mean, again, I think there's nothing wrong with talking to as many people as you possibly can, and making sure that, listen, I think if you're the Suns, you're not necessarily looking for the guy that's going to just win you a championship. Like that's a key, but it's not the only key. You want somebody that's going to come in here and give you hope and confidence that they are a calculated individual enough to be able to make adjustments, improve your development, and be able to really accentuate and develop your whole program year after year and adjust, right? You need that right candidate. And, we've seen some organizations can get it right. You mentioned Spoelstra, but Spoelstra was also groomed by Pat Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool. You look at San Antonio and Greg Popovich and the dynasty that they kind of built there. Like, you're looking for the long term. Ideally, you're looking for the long term. And I think for Monty, I think there were some things that they identified and felt like this is not a long-term solution with him. And that's why I think ultimately he was let go. And so this next guy, ideally, you would find that long-term solution in addition to obviously pushing for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be a number of reasons that they're waiting to make this hire official if it's down to those three. We talked a lot about Ty Lue, and maybe that situation isn't going to change, but maybe they have been or will continue to wait a little bit longer to see, okay, are the Clippers going to extend him or what's going on with that situation? It could be the thing that we've talked about before in terms of the NBA frowning upon you announcing a new head coaching hire in the middle of the finals. We're already at the finals now. It could be a number of things. So I don't mind the timing of it, especially since, Nick Nurse is now off the board. He's not their guy. It's not like there are a bunch of other candidates that are out there that are going to get scooped up at this point. It's basically us and the Pistons that don't have a head coach. And I'm sorry, the Suns have the edge there. So
Raptors too, right?
The Raptors do too. But again, I would take the Suns over either of those teams. So I don't think there's a rush on that front. And like Saul was saying, it's okay to cast a wide net and take your time with a big choice that you have coming up here.
But it could also be as simple as they're negotiating a contract.
Could be.
They want 3 years with a guy like Kevin Young. He and his agent want 4. They're trying to figure that out. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could hold it up a little bit, and or there could be more tinfoily reasons, like they think maybe Steve Kerr is going to come available now that Bob Myers is gone, or they are looking at replacing James Jones and they don't want to make the hire, or the shadow front office that's run by IT isn't on Kevin Young like James Jones is. Who knows? There's a million reasons why, but I think it's usually the simpler thing, like they're doing more due diligence on guys, or they're negotiating a contract, or the NBA told them, you missed your chance to try to make this announcement. You can now wait while we have our biggest event out there.
But I really hope it's not that.
Yeah, I don't want to wait that long.
I don't either.
I
I
doubt
would like
we
this
will.
to be wrapped up
Yeah,
sooner rather than later.
next week would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, Saul, you did mention Monty Williams and Detroit. So we got word today from a
313.
Shams Charania, a tweet that sources say the Detroit Pistons are seriously pursuing 2022 NBA Coach of the Year, Monty Williams, to be their new head coach, and they are preparing a significant offer. So reportedly, we're talking like $10 million a year here for Monty to go coach the Pistons. Are you guys surprised, or does this make sense to you?
Makes total sense to me. Listen, one thing that Monty can do is he can establish your base. Like he can get you back. He can construct everything. He can get you organized. He can get you back into a spot where you can start to develop and grow. So I think he's a great coach. Listen, I think he's a perfect coach for a rebuild or some, you're starting from scratch. And Detroit basically is a rebuild. Like that's where they're at right now. The Suns were in the similar spot when he showed up here. And he did a good job of getting us to a certain point. And I think that's okay. And I don't think that's necessarily a knock. I think, listen, all because Monty Williams didn't work out here and because he didn't win a championship and they fizzled out back-to-back years by being blowout losses doesn't mean that he's not good at a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is developing the base of your program. And he talked about that at length when he first got here. And so I think for Detroit, he'd be a great hire for them.
Yeah, I think he'd be great for Detroit. I think he'd be great for Toronto, two teams that need help building up and identifying what do we want our culture to be, what do we want to be about as a team, implementing. When he was here for the last 3 years, the Suns were basically a top 10 offense, top 10 defense. So the guy knows what he's doing. Just because the Suns reached their ceiling with him doesn't mean he's not worth consideration from other teams, not worth top dollar money. And let's be honest, if you're Detroit, you kind of have to overpay to get a good coaching candidate, because right now they have Cade Cunningham, they have some young talent for sure. But nobody's going to be banging down Detroit's door to go there unless you're ponying up significant money for him. I would love to see Monty there. I think I would have liked it more for him if they'd have won that number 1 pick instead of dropping to number 5. That's tough for them, but it makes sense that they are very persistent in trying to pursue him, because he had turned down their initial offers in terms of wanting to spend the summer with his family, maybe take the year off. And he can do that, and he'll still be a top head coaching candidate next year if he does that.
Maybe he wasn't happy on the farm.
Yeah, maybe he wants to be happy on the farm for a year. Let him be happy on the farm if that's what he wants. But it makes sense the Pistons would pursue him. It would make sense if Monty takes the year off. But he would be a good fit for what they need to accomplish.
Well, and you talk about overpaying. I mean, some thought the Suns overpaid to get Monty Williams when they initially got him.
Well, he was making like $7 million here?
Yeah,
is what's been reported.
That. Yeah. So, I mean, you have to when you're bad, you have to pay to get a top guy. And I like it, like you guys were saying, for Detroit. And they're not going to be in contention for at least 3 years. It's a 3-year deal, so they can use him and then move on to the guy that can actually get them where they want to go. Like the Suns. Look, there is nothing wrong with being a coach that builds the culture and gets you to a certain place.
No, but that does suck. Like, if I'm Monty, I don't want to be seen as that guy. I want to get over the hump and I want to win a championship.
I don't. Then you better do it.
I'm aware. Well done is better than well said.
Well, fuck. I don't know. I don't think this is my year.
I'm Monty Williams, and that's how people are talking about me around the league. I'm a little upset about it. And I have a chip on my shoulder now.
True. I would say my only concern about Monty and Detroit is that there's certain cities, like in football, Pittsburgh, right? They have a certain, in Baltimore, like they have a certain DNA within that city. And those teams typically kind of identify with that city's DNA, right? And so you're talking about, if you think about the Pistons, even the Chauncey Billups Pistons and the Bad Boys, like it's a physical nature of basketball. And what is
you don't like the Detroit nice guys?
Yeah. No. Yeah. And that would be my biggest concern is that Monty,
the edge just isn't there.
The edge has got to be there. Like, hey, you think we were rough on you for not getting after an official for a bad call? Detroit will. They'll throw shit at the court, man.
There's the chair throwing I've been asking for.
I mean, eventually, I think they'll take the W's over what they've had the last 5 years, though. Like, if you're a garbage organization, I don't think you get to fall back on what you did in the 80s and 90s and be like, no, that's our identity. That was fucking 30 years ago.
But you're not gonna pile up wins this year. So the first time he busts out,
he has improved every team's win total substantially within his first 3 years on the job in New Orleans. He did it here.
I don't deny that. I just think Saul's point is the first time this season when they've lost 4 in a row and he busts out the well done is better than well said. I don't think it plays the same way in Detroit as it did in Phoenix. I can
see that.
Right? Like you say happy on the farm in Detroit. Someone's going to be like, we'll take your ass back.
This ain't a farm. It's a city, Monty.
I guess the question is do you give a shit about what your fan base thinks about you, or do you care what your guys in the locker room think about you?
Monty didn't even care what the guys in the locker room thought about him. He didn't talk to DA.
Now we're getting off on a tangent here. But what I'm being serious though, because all those guys in the locker room don't have this whole like pre-built-in identity about what Pistons basketball is.
Oh,
They all didn't grow up as Pistons fans.
right.
So as long as he's resonating with the guys in the locker room, that's really all that matters.
I want you to say that to Isaiah Stewart's face.
Why?
Here, get off me. Get off me. What'd you say, Lindsay? I am Detroit.
I am a bad boy.
all
If
of
he'll
them.
chase down LeBron, I'm just saying.
Good Lord.
He's on another level. I like him actually. I feel like he and I would get along. He probably throws a chair.
Isaiah Stewart?
Mhm.
Oh, 1,000,000% he
Yeah.
throws a chair.
Yeah.
You might
get
throw a
along.
teammate.
Those people around.
But also
we probably get
another,
along.
another caveat to this that since we're talking about players, if Monty goes to Detroit, guess who's out of the DA sweepstakes?
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be Detroit. That would be hilarious.
And that was one of our
Oh my
first
God.
Trade Machine Tuesday. Last week we had a Detroit NDA trade.
Could
Mixed
you
in
imagine
there.
if they still traded for him? Oh my
There's no.
God.
I think they like Jalen Duren. I
I-
don't think they want DeAndre Ayton.
Monty would feel
they could have traded for him last year, and then they took Jalen Duren. They were good.
Monty would feel like he's in purgatory. He's like, this guy keeps following me around. What the hell?
He'd straight be
Or-
like, this is how y'all gonna do me?
What if they both went and then it actually magically worked?
Oh, that
my
would be
God,
awful.
That would be just terrible.
A little.
Yeah.
There is a trade
Yeah,
partner
if
for
you're-
Landry Shamet if you're
Yeah,
interested.
guys.
If Monty
I
does
don't
go to
even wanna-
Detroit.
Detroit and Shamet, it's a match made in heaven. Let's go.
Monty will pay the cash considerations himself out of that $10 million a year.
Oh my God.
Other weird footnote in this, right? Detroit's jersey sponsor is United Wholesale Mortgage.
Yeah, the competitor
Matt-
for Ishbia's.
No. Matt Ishbia's company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Monty will be coaching a team with the logo.
For whatever reason,
Yeah,
I was
no.
thinking it was competitor,
No,
but
no,
no, that
no.
is
It's his
Ishbia's
company.
company.
So he'll
You're right.
be
My
coaching
bad.
a team with the logo of the guy that just fired him. And technically, if you
Still paying him.
Matt
Sorta paying him in a
Ishbia sort of
roundabout way.
underwriting the contract too.
I mean, that probably has to feel good if the guy who fired you still paying your bills.
Okay, talking about getting paid, right? So we know that the reports around like Earl Watson being fired from the Suns, he still got paid, but had he had taken another NBA job, those payments would have stopped, which is why he was out of the league for a minute. Is it the same situation for every coach, or is it all different kind of scenarios? Would you assume that Monty's contract would stop paying on the Sun side if he took this job?
I would assume so.
It depends. It's how the contract's written. Some coaches don't have that language, or it's a percentage. If you take another job, you get a percentage of the money.
I'd be shocked
don't
if on the extension that wasn't thrown in there just in case.
Well,
I think at first they probably had no choice, but they had to hook him up. But I think on the extension, they probably.
I mean,
threw that in there.
Sarver did sign the extension, so it probably was nickel and dimed. So.
Or did Sarver say, I'm going to throw you a bone because the sale's about to happen. Let me make sure you're covered.
I don't give a shit. They should make it where the guy who owned the team when the contract signed has to continue paying through
Well,
the
that's
contract.
just bad business. Nobody's going to agree to that.
Screw you. You're paying.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it's Wednesday. We got trades coming up for you. But outside of today being a quasi Trade Machine Tuesday, Wednesdays are also the best day to log into your BetMGM app because you get a free bonus bet on the house just for logging in every Wednesday and every Saturday. So if you have not logged into your BetMGM account right now, is a great time to do that, to make sure that you get your bonus bet. You'll automatically receive it just by logging into their account. Your bet does expire after 72 hours, so don't wait to use it. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, what are you doing? Like, they have really cool stuff like this all the time. So make sure you sign up for BetMGM using that bonus code PHNX, because when you use that bonus code, there's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our Arizona audience, you will get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, that bonus code is PHNX. Are you trying to is this trying to get my attention? I'm so confused.
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize what my fingers were doing.
So I was over here
Spaced the
tapping my
fuck out.
chair.
My bad.
And I'm like, what's up, Saul?
I was waiting for the disclaimer to read.
I'm so confused. Sorry about that, y'all. But I was real
Jeez.
turned out, just confused. Anyway, check out the show notes for full details. And here's Shane to talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
We're just a bunch of friends that started a company, which is cool, which is fun. There's a couple other people that started a company, and they produce awesome signs. It's called Saturday Neon. They sell a whole bunch of neon signs. They can do custom stuff. And they also have a bunch of colleges. They have a beautiful University of Arizona sign that we actually have in our office. And if you ever watch the Go AZ Wildcats podcast, you can watch that big, beautiful sign right behind Mike Luke. They don't sell ASU stuff, so it makes it even better because they're awesome. But you can check them out at SaturdayNeon.com and save yourself up to 10% on any sign by using promo code PHNX. They are phenomenal. The signs are electric. Well, of course, they're not gas, but they're dope.
They're electric and electric.
So check them out.
Also,
It
free
is.
shipping on orders over $200.
Yes.
Pretty dope.
Jesus
There
Christ.
you go.
Wow.
If you guys are looking for a place to have some nice happy hour burritos, nachos, taco salads, bowls, whatever it is you're looking for, as well as drinks, might I recommend our friends over at Illegal Pete's. Their happy hour has been extended at all of their locations now from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. You can stop in either their Tucson or Tempe locations for a house beer bucket for you and the whole crew. You get 5 pints for just $15. You can soak up the sun with a loaded burrito and a crisp beer on the patio. Also, if you are doing any sort of gathering or hosting of parties or barbecues or whatever this summer, check out Illegal Pete's for their go-to setup. It's pretty legit. My favorite part, I told you guys yesterday, the chip box turns into a basketball hoop, which is so dope. Like, it's the coolest thing. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. All right. It's time to fire up the trade machine.
Yes.
First,
Hold on.
things-
No.
Trade machine,
we
play it.
already played it today.
No, we didn't.
We didn't? Train Machine Tuesday. Train Machine Tuesday. Train Machine Tuesday. I thought we had already played it, so we could just kind of like skip right on past that.
No.
Never gets old.
Doesn't it?
Nope.
No?
It makes me happy every
Okay.
Tuesday
Every single
and
time.
or
And
Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day. we decide.
Literally every single day that we can ever play it. All right. So we've got 3 of them for you guys today. The first one first. We've got the Pacers receiving Deandre Ayton. And then we have the Suns receiving TJ McConnell and Miles Turner. What do you guys think about this one?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I love, and I mean love me
I
some
know you
TJ
do.
McConnell, baby. Also, I mean when you're talking about hustle, effort, and efficiency as a point guard, as a backup point guard, you could do worse. Very much. Miles Turner, I like him as a player. I don't love him as a player. But I think in this case, I just think that DeAndre Ayton needs a new fresh start somewhere else. And so in this case, I would take it.
You could make that Mitch McConnell, and I'm still taking this deal. Like
Jesus
I'm
Christ,
okay.
Espo.
Like it gets
What the
DA to
hell
another
are we
place.
doing here?
You get Miles Turner in here to replace him and play more the kind of guy you need.
I don't agree with
Say-
that.
TJ can come in and be that
cannot.
backup point guard that I think is more stable in terms of what you need off the bench than Campaign has been. I'd do this, and I'd probably do it pretty quickly if it was offered to me.
Yeah, I don't hate this. I feel like we've been talking for a year now about needing a more reliable backup point guard with McConnell. He's one of the more underrated backup point guards in the league at this point. He contributes in a lot of categories. He can run the offense, facilitate, get steals. He's a tenacious defender, so I like him. And then as far as Turner, I like Turner. Turner had a great year. He just averaged as many points as DA did, 18 per game. He's been one of the league's leading shot blockers over the last few seasons, and one of our biggest gripes with DA is that he will contest shots but not really truly challenge them around the basket. That problem would be fixed with Turner. He's a significantly worse rebounder. He only averages 7.5 rebounds per game this season, 6.8 for his career. Like, that is a concern when we talk about DA's rebounding needs to be better. You would get worse in that regard, but what he'd offer in terms of shot blocking and 3-point shooting, floor spacing, maybe you'd improve there. I think the idea here is what we've talked about. Like, you can get 80% of what DA does for less money, then you have more money to spend on other pieces that you need on the perimeter. So I wouldn't hate this deal. There would be some drawbacks to going from DA to Turner.
I think you're going to get that in any deal.
Yeah, I don't know that
you are.
Like,
Is there any way that you could pry Halliburton or I mean, listen, like, even if it's not Miles Turner, if you traded somebody else, is there any way you could possibly pry Halliburton or Mathurin from the Pacers? I know. Hey, listen.
were you
This
like
whole
sucking
fucking
on the
thing-
neon?
Oh,
out of
listen,
that
this whole
sign?
thing
Like,
is a fucking dreaming scenario anyway. So
I don't know about
let's
that.
just-
I don't know. That doesn't feel like a dream scenario. Trying to get Halliburton there, he's off limits for the Pacers. I gotta think. Same with Mathurin, probably, unless I don't think he's off limits, but it would take like a cornerstone blue chip like pick or prospect to do that, and I don't think the Suns have that to offer right now.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, if we're gonna get rid of one U of A guy, I want one back.
Well,
So-
you're
Don't be
getting
so
McConnell.
greedy.
Isn't TJ McConnell?
I know, but play with me a little bit. Maybe I want McConnell
Don't
and I
be
want.
so greedy.
I know where my fingers are, so no. All right.
Don't be so greedy. Do you think the Pacers say yes to this?
Maybe.
Maybe they wanted him.
Yeah, they wanted him.
Do you think
Everything's
they still
been,
want him though?
Well, but the thing is, Miles Turner is almost their version of DA for them. He's been rumored to be on the block forever now. So maybe it's just we understand that DA has his blemishes, but we're ready to move on from Turner as well. This may be the most realistic situation, I think, for it to happen.
It could be like they want him. I know that DA's value has not exactly skyrocketed over the last season because of the inconsistency that we've talked about. But like you mentioned, they've been teetering with trading Turner for a while. They did sign him to that extension, but if anything, that makes him a little bit more tradable because the money is pretty, it's manageable for a guy that offers what he does. So I don't know. We'll see. They could be interested. They signed the offer sheet, so they were prepared to envision a future with him and Halliburton together. Maybe they still see it. DA is still only 24 years old, so it's not like he's, completely capped out as what he is right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, we've got the Bulls receiving Deandre Ayton, and the Suns receiving DeMar DeRozan and Marko Simonovic.
I am conflicted on this one.
Okay.
It's not because DeMar DeRozan isn't a good player.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that how many old dudes do we need on this team to win a championship is what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7? Like,
Not 6.
oh my
At
God.
least 3. Give us 3.
I
We're
mean,
looking at
those are
3.
35-plus-year-old dudes.
He's 33.
Oh, I thought he was 35.
He's 33.
Look at that.
Still
He's
older.
fine.
Still older though.
Give us your old, your tired, your huddled masses. We'll take them all in Phoenix.
We are the old
So
tired.
DeMar averaged 24.5 points this season, 5.1 assists, 4.6 rebounds, and he played 74 games. And then Marko, he's a young guy. I think this will be his third year. This upcoming season will be his third season in the NBA. If you go and you look at any social media posts that the Bulls have made about Marko, the fans are split. Half of them are like, why don't you just, because he gets sent up and down from the G League quite a bit. And half the fans are like, you guys are killing this guy's potential by not like leaning into him and letting him develop and blah, blah, blah. And the other half are like, why don't you just let him go at this point?
Yeah.
So it's pretty split from their fan base, which we are used to here in Phoenix.
So he's Aaron Holiday, Ish Smith,
All of the above.
Marisha.
We have too many dudes around the free throw line right now.
Yeah.
I just
the math ain't backing.
Jesus,
That's my concern.
I mean, holy crap. How many guys do you need to shoot the mid-range jump shot?
Right.
Like, this is 3 guys. Like, you have to get rid of DA at that point because he has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, that's the spacing there's not ideal. And I like DeRozan. Like, he's had 2 pretty great seasons for the Bulls. And after, people kind of assumed at the end of his Spurs tenure, like he's not going to be able to contribute on a winning team. The Bulls aren't exactly like a winning team, but he's been really good for them. But I just don't. You already have that kind of prototype of a player in Devin Booker, and you have a better version of that in Devin Booker. You don't need another mid-range guy clogging up that area of the floor, especially when, DA is already your center and rolling to the paint. Like, that's just tough. I feel like, and I don't know if Chicago would even do this. I feel like they could probably try and sell Portland on DeRozan or some other team that has more assets to offer.
And I think DeRozan is good elsewhere. Here, he becomes redundant, I think is the point. It's not DeMar DeRozan's a bad player. Why would you ever do this? He's redundant in what you already have. So I'd say no to this just because of that fact.
I mean, if you made that trade and you still have Chris Paul, that is just a shit show of mid-range right there. Like, and honestly, I have no interest in watching that. I don't want to see that. I don't give a shit if they shot 100% from the field. Like, I don't want to see that. I want a little bit of variety, because when you get to the playoffs, you need that variety. You need long-range shooting. You need guys that can shoot from the outside and make a difference, because we've done the mid-range game for 4 seasons now, and we've come close, but we just haven't been able to get over that hump. And this year is mainly because we didn't have anybody else that could hit a 3 to save our lives. And the few games we did in Landry Shamet, we won.
The math wasn't in our favor.
So you don't want to see Kevin Young's 4-guy free throw line extended offense? 4 guys at the free throw line and
1-4 high. All 4 are just at the fucking free throw line.
At DA's near the hoop. You don't watch that?
Oh my God. Just shoot me now. No. I don't want that.
The 3-man weave, but it's at the free throw line.
It's total basketball at the free throw line.
Oh my God, it would be so awful to watch.
Booker just in the middle, kicking it to other guys.
Oh my gosh.
We could maybe make it entertaining for 1 or 2 games,
Like,
but after that,
3-on-2 fast break. Oh, pull-up jumper mid-range.
That would wear out real quick.
all right. Last one here. We've got the Spurs receiving Chris Paul and the Suns receiving Devontae Graham and Zach Collins. So Zach Collins averaged 11.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 2.9 assists in 63 games this season. Devontae Graham, he averaged 7.4 points, 2.7 assists, and 1.7 rebounds in 63 games in the season. But in the 20 games that he was with the Spurs, he averaged 13 points, 4 assists, 2.5 rebounds, and he shot 38.4% from the field and 35.8% from deep.
I like Devontae Graham's game. Zach Collins is good when healthy, and he has a little bit of a mean streak in him, so I like that. However, I would not do this trade, and it's not because of what we would get, it's what we would be giving.
Okay.
And the thought of Deandre Ayton paired up.
It's Chris Paul. I think our graphic is wrong.
Yeah,
the actual trade is Chris Paul.
Yeah, the trade is Chris Paul.
Oh, okay. All
Sorry,
right.
the trade is
Well,
for
let me
Chris
play
Paul.
with this anyway. If we traded DeAndre Ayton.
But we don't know if that math works.
It does. They make about the same
It doesn't
There
matter.
we go.
Okay. Anyway, if DeAndre Ayton went to the Spurs, that's the number one team that I don't want to see him go to, because I don't want to see Pop with him. And then you add Wembayama to that mix.
But I think
DA
that's
could
the
finally be
reason
a
why
4.
the Spurs.
I know.
Oh, we're
Well,
talking about DA. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
It would be
that
a
would
sh- I would
that's
not like
never
that at all.
happening, because A, that's too low of a return for DA, and B, the Spurs don't need a center now that they're gonna get Wembanyama because he fell into their
There
fucking
we
laps
go.
again. So yeah, this is the trade. I don't really care for this, honestly. Like, Devontae Graham, if you recall, was on the Pelicans last year when we faced them in the playoffs, and he barely played. He was benched because they couldn't trust him defensively. You now have a hole at starting point guard that you're not really filling in any productive way. And like, Zach Collins and Devontae Graham are fine. They're rotation players. They're bench guys. You're not plugging any hole in the starting lineup. If anything, you're leaving one. So I'm not crazy about this one.
But isn't that what really? If you trade Chris Paul, you're looking likely to fill bench guys, because you're not going to have a whole lot of money to fill
Well,
bench guys otherwise.
You could
So-
also consider if your plan is to move both of them, Chris Paul, you'd probably get guys who can fill out the bench, and DA would be the guy that you could potentially look to get a point guard in return for.
You can,
starter,
yes,
yeah.
but I still feel like you can do better with a Chris Paul trade. There are teams that would still trade for Chris Paul, especially because his salary for next season is non-guaranteed. So he's basically an expiring contract if you're a team that's like playoff caliber or sub-playoff caliber wanting to take that next step. You can string together enough salary. I think you can do better than this, honestly.
Probably. The only way I do this is if Pop admits that the Suns would have won in 2007 if Robert Horry
Signed
hadn't hit check.
concession speech.
Yes, he has to admit that they were dirty, rotten cheaters.
You know,
and then I go, you know what? You can have the corpse of Chris Paul for these bench guys. I'll take the peace of mind.
I think in regards to this trade, I would think about doing it only if I couldn't get another trade that was equal or higher value. Just because for me, it's all about reliability, and I'm over it. I'm over the unreliability.
That's fair. Devontae Graham has never had a season where he shot better than 38% from the floor.
But has he been available on the court, on the
Not
bench?
really. If you look at 46 games, 63, 55, 76.
Well, DNPs don't count now.
73. I mean, the first one, 46. Like, I'm not trying to hold it against him. He only played 46 games as a rookie, but like, yeah.
Does he shoot from the mid-range? Because if the answer is yes, he's allowed here.
We
all right?
gotta move on. Also,
if-
when the hell did we become the cocoon of the NBA? When did we take all these old players and try to resurrect them?
Do you not remember Steve
Listen,
Nash?
listen,
Yeah,
hold
we
on.
had a better
Hill?
training staff at the
Well,
time.
that's true, but
Hold on,
I mean,
though.
lots of old people come here
Chris
because the weather is nice
Paul
on their bones.
was instrumental in turning this ship around when he got here.
He was. When
So
he was
you
playing,
can't you
he
can't
was
put him
good.
in that bucket of we brought him in and he was already on the decline. Like that
Right.
first season specifically, even last
The
season,
first two.
the last season
Oh,
was solid.
the first two.
Those were fantastic.
the first
so we
two
didn't
games against
bring
the
in crawling into the coffin
Oh.
Chris Paul.
First of all, a cocoon, not a coffin.
Whatever.
Second of all, listen, the first two
I know
games
you
against
wanted
the
to say
Dallas
it anyway.
Mavericks were fantastic. He was damn near unstoppable. And then all of a sudden something happened. And I just feel like, that cocoon juice just left. And then all of a
What?
sudden he was like a shell of himself. Like,
Cocoon Juice, a new sponsor here on the
He's like
Beach.
that.
And
Like,
are we
he was.
already are we talking about Kevin Durant in this conversation too as another old guy that we're bringing in? Are
Don't
we
you-
already there with KD, you guys?
We've had one playoff run with him.
Like, my goodness, are we already really there where we're talking about Kevin Durant old and washed?
No,
Not even,
no,
not
you
even
heard-
remotely close
no,
to that
You heard the
conversation?
media, though? They're acting as if that somehow this Suns team is no longer fully in contention because, KD wasn't that great. It was 10 freaking games in the regular season and then the playoffs. Let everybody, write this team off and think that they're already done. And I don't think anybody here feels that, but there's a lot of people that are acting like, oh, dear Lord, we've screwed up again. It's all over. How can we do this? We're going to have the corpse of Kevin Durant. It's like,
No, I mean,
knock it off.
Chris Paul's not Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not Chris Paul. Like, I'm not putting those two in the same bucket together. Chris Paul, what he is right now, he's a shell of what he used to be. And that's only based on his availability in the playoffs. That's all I'm talking about. Because I don't give a shit about the regular season. He does fine in the regular season. He does what you need him to do in the regular season. We've seen that a million times. Like, cool. But can you come through when your team needs you the most? You know what I mean? And this year he wasn't able to get on the court for that. And it was vital because you could make an argument that the Suns could very well be in the NBA Finals right now if he stays healthy in Game 2 because you think they win that game, they go up 3-2 at some point, and possibly win another game at some point in that series. But it didn't happen, just like last year it didn't happen against the Mavericks, and I'm kind of done with that. It's not hater if it's true. He's not available in the playoffs a portion of the time, and it seems to affect this team, obviously, because he's a valuable piece.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for somebody that's going to be a little bit more consistent in that area, and that's fine to say. It's not hater.
No,
It's
I think
fucking
that's
fact.
I'm not talking about you specifically.
No, I'm talking to other people. in the
Oh,
chat.
okay, I see.
Yeah.
I was just talking in general. I feel like there's a lot of discourse around the Suns as being like this old team. And while we do skew older than we did in previous years, I don't know that I'm willing to say that the Suns are an old team.
I mean, to be fair, they only have 4 guys under contract. One of them's KD, one of them's CP3. So half your roster right now is old.
Yeah.
I think if you were going to run it back with Chris Paul on your team, if that's what the Suns are going to do, you really have to bolster that backup point guard position.
Yes.
You have to have a backup point guard who, and this is no shade to Campaign, because when he does start, he is solid. But you need a better backup point guard than Campaign to be able to handle more of that load more consistently, both throughout the regular season and in the playoffs when inevitably Chris Paul does end up having issues.
1,000,000% agree.
And I think that was one thing we missed on last offseason was figuring out
I think
an additional body or a different body to add to that point guard rotation.
and again, like for as much as I'm on CP3, I would say that CP15 is the same way. Like wildly inconsistent. When you need him the most, he would show you flashes, but again, he's just for whatever reason he couldn't put it all together. And when he did finally put it together, it looked like this year he got injured. And I don't know if it's just the position or the initials are the same, but either way, CPs just don't work out.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's fair. That's where I'm at. Like you've got to prepare for the possibility if Chris Paul is still your point guard this upcoming season. Like there have been reports suggesting that he's still going to be the guy heading into next year. You have to be prepared for the possibility or the likelihood, whatever you want to call it, that he will miss time throughout the regular season and during the playoffs as well. So you need a backup point guard who is a starting caliber point guard in this league, who can just run the offense and let Book and KD do what they do without losing too much. I still feel like that Spurs trade wouldn't quite get you there. But there are some trades, and we'll have plenty of weeks to go through this
we
still
got
and come up with
plenty
them.
of Trade Machine Tuesdays coming
Yeah,
y'all's
we do,
way.
Lindsay. Yeah, we do.
I know.
Staring her down.
Trade
Yeah, we do.
machine weekdays. Trade machine.
We're just gonna do one
weekdays.
every single day.
Oh God,
I would lose my mind.
kill me.
You know,
Done.
here's the thing. It's not even about the song and the little jingle and the little dancing baby meme thing. It's that I feel like trade season brings out the worst in us as fans. Like I think that trades make us meaner than ever towards one another.
Yeah,
It's brutal.
rosterbation
hurts
is
my
not
heart.
a good thing online.
I just need to put on my
You
shady
never-
rays
you
so I
never
can
heard
block
that
out the
term?
haters, stay off Twitter, and just hang out in the summer sun and kick
Don't ever
back
say that again. That's
and
fine.
relax. Shady Rays are the best sunglasses you can get your hands on.
Just goes
You can
right
shop
through
the
it.
entire collection at their brand new location at Kierland's Common, a full stop shop for all things Shady Rays. And also, if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000.
Lindsay
Wait.
Lindsay
Before he starts, you ever just look at Espo and know he's about to say something?
Oh,
Go ahead, Espo.
Every day. Every day, bro.
Lindsay wishes she could trade us in for free most days. She's like, these are defective. Get another
These
pair.
are broken. I need new ones, please.
I am not cool with this. You know what I am cool with though? Our friends over at Four Peaks. I am really excited for Saturday. We're going to be at the Four Peaks lounge there at I want to call it Bank One Ballpark, but it's Chase Field. We're going to be out there hanging out for our takeover, and I'm really looking forward to that. But if you didn't get seats, it's sold out. Four Peaks has their Four Peaks 4 seats, where one lucky winner is going to win 4 seats to an upcoming Diamondbacks game. Tickets will come with D-Bucks, so you can grab some of that sweet Wow Wheat or Hop Knot. And you can enter by going to the @4Peaks Brew on IG. The link is in the bio. Highly recommend it because they got great beer, but you're going to have great seats too. You're going to have fun there. And if if you just want to get a nice cold one this weekend, I got my family out of town, so I'm thinking maybe I'll.
That's
I'll roll
right.
up to
Saturday with the boys, baby.
Oh, and Sunday with the boys, and Monday. It's just 16 days by myself out here.
Wow.
So I may be at the 8th Street
16,
Pub.
that's a long
having
time.
a little.
You're
I'll
gonna
miss
be
the hell
so
out of my
sad
family,
by
but
like day 3.
you know what'll make me not I feel a little bit better? A Four Peaks at the 8th Street Pub. So
There you
head
go.
out there. You get great food and great beer.
Forget that. Go to the Four Peaks tap room at the ballpark
I
on Saturday.
just said I was doing that. That's how I
He's
started.
gonna do both.
Okay.
And then I'll go to the 8th Street
Saturday
Pub.
and then Sunday.
You know,
He's
I
already got
can-
his
and then
whole
go back.
weekend planned.
Yeah. So
And then
check,
go back.
check out the at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest on Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older, and please drink responsibly.
And of course, we all know that NBA basketball is coming to a close. There are other sports that are going to be popping off and
What?
already are. It is. It's
What
going to
other
be gone
sports?
in a few days.
What are other sports?
Yeah, I don't know what other sports you were referring to.
I don't know what that means.
All I do is basketball.
I'll be watching
The
ESPN
Mercury.
Classic with more basketball.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Whatever.
Mercury, but that's the same sport.
It is the same sport.
I said NBA basketball is coming to a close. There are other things and sports that you could be watching
And there are
on
other
Fubo
channels you can
TV.
watch.
Or if you just are like that, it's just NBA basketball and that's it. Well, you know what? They've
Not
got
Foco.
shows, movies, and news too. Fubo TV has your back. I love Fubo TV. I think the mobile app is the most user-friendly of all streaming apps that are out there. Fubo TVs is the best. And they also are offering 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge as well, which means you can stock up on movies and shows if you're traveling this summer. You download it to your phone, you keep it there on the DVR, you're good to go, you're set. They are fantastic, and you can watch all your favorite teams with Fubo TV. Use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo TV. Highly recommend it. All right, listen. We've had a lot of shenanigans go on this whole entire week so far. I think that we should end today's show on a inspirational note.
Okay.
Right? There might be shenanigans in here. I have no idea with the three of you anymore. But we are going to talk about some Lasso-isms for
that's
the
right.
Suns.
No spoilers.
No.
I got which scene everybody's got. So we'll start with Lindsay. Okay. And so what we're doing here.
Yeah, you need to explain
so
it better.
what we're doing here is we're presenting a scene from one of the show from the show, and you have got to give an inspirational quote based on this scene to our Suns fans to give them hope for our own future.
Saul, I think you
Okay.
should set up the scene so our audio listeners
Absolutely.
know.
So this is just a random generic scene that we've seen a million times on Ted Lasso. It's Ted Lasso, Coach Beard, and this one has Nate in it, and they're just standing on the sidelines observing practice. And go, Lindsay.
Okay, I do need a disclaimer real quick. I have not watched Ted Lasso, so I'm not familiar with all of this stuff. So you have to forgive me. But my speech is directed towards the Phoenix Suns, specifically kind of the front office, if you will, but players included in here, okay?
It's a speech?
Ready?
It's supposed to be a quote.
Oh, well, I did like a speech full of quotes.
Oh, okay.
But it's only like 20 seconds. It's not that
Okay,
big of a deal.
okay.
Okay, ready? Only you can control your future. If we do not choose, we will end up with none. You have to be odd to be number one. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Oh, the things you can find if you don't stay behind. You have brains in your head. You have feet on your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way.
You just quoted Dr. Seuss?
Yes, of course.
You Seussed us?
I
What
did.
the hell did I just listen to?
What's
You
wrong with
Seussed
that?
us.
Oh,
You guys,
man.
I don't watch Ted Lasso. You said pick some quotes and something
I said
inspirational.
pick a quote.
You didn't specify it had to be from Ted Lasso.
I didn't.
like
It
Dr.
doesn't have to be
Seuss
from Ted
better.
Lasso,
I
but that
picked
was like a
bunch
whole
of different
damn quote.
quotes from
It's
Dr.
Dr.
Seuss.
Seuss's TED Talk there.
Oh. That's what I thought she was going to say. I was like, wait, what? All right.
Oh, man.
Well, hey, all right. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm just an overachiever here.
I'm
Let me
gonna
live my
kick
life.
I'm going to kick it to my boy Espo because he needs the Diamond Dogs.
Let me call this meeting of the Diamond Dogs in session. All right. Our problem today is we don't have a head coach here, right? We can't decide on our head coach. And you know what? I think it's about belief in ourselves. Maybe we already got this guy in the room. And if we believe, if we truly believe, I think we got barbecue sauce here. I think we got a bullseye in one Kevin Young. We already promoted Kit Man to the coaching staff. I think Kevin Young could be the head coach of this Phoenix Suns team if we believe right in here in our hearts.
All right.
Good job, Espa.
Then we have Gerald, who is in the locker room this beautiful day
As they're hanging up the believe
sign.
So this is actually a real speech here.
Okay.
And you
From
guys
Flagstaff till now, it's just been an unreal ride. We've got to go back to the hotel and see what happens. But I just want you guys to know this before that happens. This was therapeutic for me to be around a group of guys like this. I got to tell you guys, man, I love you. I do. I don't care what happens tonight. I know what I've got in this room. It has been cool for me to be with y'all every day, to watch you guys work and battle and gain the respect of your peers the way you have on this trip. We're not the sons of old.
Oh, did you quote
Yes.
Monty
Yes.
from
Yes.
the bubble?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh
A million
my
percent he
God.
But y'all give me grief
I
for
feel-
quoting Dr.
Mine is the most fucking accurate. They're literally
Okay.
hanging up the word believe on the locker room.
I see how this works.
I'm just Dario over in the corner going, just like in that clip.
Okay. Well, mine is a scene with Ted and Rebecca. I believe this is when Rebecca basically told him that she was backstabbing him and setting him up for failure, and he forgives her. My quote is not as long as these guys by a mile, but it's towards Denver Nuggets fans.
Oh boy.
Suns fans. Oh man, that's
That's
karma if I've ever
creepy.
seen it in my life. Listen, if they win the championship, we're gonna hate their guts. That's just how it is. Kind of hate their guts anyway. Like that's just what it is. But listen, forgiveness is a strange thing. It can sometimes be easier to forgive our enemies than our friends. It can be hardest of all to forgive the people we love. And so, DNVR, I hope you celebrate the championship that you're for sure going to win, without a doubt. There's no doubt in the world. You guys got this in the bag.
Saul
A million
is
percent.
trying to jinx
You guys
him.
are going to win this thing by a mile. The Miami Heat have no chance. I'd be surprised if they even scored over 80 points against you at any point in this series. You guys got this in the bag. It would be one of the most monumental upsets of all time if you were to somehow falter, which I just do not see happening under any circumstance. I don't care who goes down.
Elite level stuff.
I really love how there's a couple people in the chat are like, I'm so confused as to what is happening right now. Apparently, does this not make sense if you're not a Ted Lasso fan? This
It's
whole
just
like thing.
inspirational
Just
stuff.
inspirational quotes.
Yeah, so we're just taking a page out of Ted Lasso's book and being inspirational on this Wednesday afternoon.
Hello, Nuggets fans quote, "We're the underdogs as a 1 seed."
Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you as always. We hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Plan to come hang out with us again tomorrow, 3 p.m., same place, same time as always. Until then, you can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Borgay. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
I recommend you be like a goldfish and forget the show ever
Hey, yo, my
happened.
lifestyle
Ahoy,
is metro.
hoy.
Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always wreck the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team move like the mob. Turn the beat on, I throw it down like DA on the live. Best